So, welcome, guys, to my platform once again. I want to say, first and foremost, thank you to everybody who came through and uh, put their 2 cents, 3 cents, whatever it is, pertaining to the reaction that I had over the recent developments within the Mtukudzi family. At first, obviously, I had my professional standpoint when it comes to Selma's walking away from the stage. But then, with the reactions that I got from social media, everybody and anybody coming through and saying, okay, look, here's what's happening. I think you got it wrong, and etc., etc. I did what every man should be able to do within the world right now, which is to apologize and to make sure that you do right, for our women, for our ladies, and even for our kids. As a father myself, I wouldn't want to see my kids go through whatever they. And I think I say that whatever the Mtukudzi ladies went through, and it was almost appropriate that I apologize, and I know everybody was waiting for that apology, and rightfully so. It was important that I make one, but we're gonna continue that conversation. And while I was going through, the many reports and the many stories that came out from that situation, a friend of mine who I've met and I've known for a very long time, who owns his very own website and runs his very own website called ZimbabweMedia.com. He plies his trade from the UK, wrote something that caught my attention, and I thought I would invite him so that we can have this conversation as men. When we met, we were boys, but now we are grown men, and
Absolutely.
and
It's
and we will.
been it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, eh?
I've got a few day ones that I count, and I'm proud to say you're one of them. And I'm proud to
Oh
see
man.
what you've been up to. And good to catch up, man. Thank you for actually inviting me to such an esteemed platform, Jonas.
No man, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, to be amongst day ones, it's not an easy thing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Sometimes you get to be day twos and day threes, and you're not that important. If you're day one,
exactly.
you're doing something right.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Mm.
and I think it makes the conversation real because with your day ones you can be yourself.
Hmm.
There's no pretense. Uh,
Yeah.
I love how organic our conversations are. So
Mm.
I I honor you and celebrate you, Joe Mans.
Wow. Thanks a lot, man. Nice to. It's actually an honor to hear that from you. But anyway, let's get to the real reason why I brought you here. And you wrote something about Oliver Mtukudzi within this, the whole debacle. And you said, I hope Tuku's story has taught us men uh, lessons. What sort of lesson? Just take us through, your mindset while you were writing this article.
So as what I realized is, that's the whole world because everybody's become a journalist in this 21st century because of social media. Anybody can wake up and write something and press that live button. So I realized we're all becoming argan aunties and argan uncles over what's been happening to the Mtukudzi family, which is not exclusive to them because it's something that happens the world over and to so many families. But for me, I paused Jomas in that moment and I was real with myself to say, here is a man who has a situation like mine. I'm trying to carve away in the media industry. God willing, one day my media house might grow and I become a big name. But am I sorting the affairs that I have in the background in order? So I found myself going into a box of introspection to look at the situation in a realistic way. You know, they always say, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. And I thought, I have things that I need to put in order.
Hmm.
So for me, I saw a man that left it too late, that maybe um, for whatever reasons that we'll never know, because the great national hero and icon is late. But I would have loved to know why he left it too late to address such paramount and sensitive issues in his
Mhm.
family.
Yeah, man, and you rightfully so. I mean, it was a question that I kept asking myself as well, and especially with the power, not physical strength, but the power that I'm sure Mutukudzi wielded, where if he was going to speak about something, people would listen. You know, do you remember how almost every now and then Mtukudzi panobuditsa album painge like the everyone else, like you'd just kill your career if you produce or release an album the
Same
same
time
time as
with him.
Mtukudzi. You understand?
Yes.
So that power there within the music industry, and then to be powerless within the family issues, man, that was.
It's you just wonder, Joe, Joe Max, there's
Mhm,
I went back to even rewatch some of his interviews, trying to read
mhm,
in between the lines. And the man says, I write my own lyrics from day one. Even in my article, I think I mentioned that Mtukudzi wrote very good lyrics, but he forgot to write the right lyrics, which would have been his will or trust. And
mhm,
I say that because there was so much depth in his lyrics. He spoke to the heart, he spoke to social issues, he spoke to all areas of life that you might think that shapes a human being and that makes humankind human. So for him to have done that to such a depth of being revered to the extent that he was, I then
mhm,
question, where did he fall short? Um,
mhm,
uh, is it Daisy at play here? Is it that he was pressured? Uh,
mhm,
what's the secret there? That's when
mhm,
I begin to ask to say, I think I can understand him, uh, especially if you're a man in this situation. It's so hard, Joe Maz, if I want to be honest, to
mhm,
have been a man that have served children elsewhere, or to be in a second marriage or third marriage or fourth marriage and try and build a blended family. Not the
mhm.
easiest thing on this earth.
Yeah, yeah. There is something though that I was wondering, when this whole issue hit, ndakatonyatsofunga ndenge ndakati maybe as Africans, and I know this goes against all your religious inclinations, right? And of
No,
course, yeah, hear
I,
me
I,
out, hear
I,
me
I'm,
out.
I, as I mature, I'm very welcome to every opinion.
Yeah, Oliver Mtukudzi was a man of was a religious man. Anga atori muhwisiri, like angari
Zvekudaro.
Methodist, zvekudaro, you understand?
Mm.
And I felt like, okay, do you think at one point, because look, if you look at the way Oliver Mtukudzi had his kids, like from the first marriage, and then he goes to the second marriage, and then he goes again to the second first marriage to have another, and then blah blah with 4 different women. You wrote about it, right? And that's the truth. Could we say Oliver angari polygamist, like angari mudhara aitoda vakadzi akawanda zvekuti maybe airestrictwa either with religion or society that we grew up in, and he is a man who's got so much wealth and influence. He would have probably, do you think he would have been better off if he had just called all of his women, all these women or these wives or these mothers of his children to say ngatingogarisane tese tiponge tabarika tongogara? Do you think it would have been a better outcome than, to be stuck on religion and society that says men should stick to one woman, and then now he's in love with this one, so he cannot continue with that one, and then they've fallen out with that one, now he has to go to that one. But I, I felt to a certain extent he could have done better if he had just said, look, it is what it is. I cannot live with one woman. I'll just take second, third, fourth, and then yeah, Tongo's mom. Because that's basically what happened unofficially.
You bring a valid point there. Nature versus social norms.
Exactly.
I've heard one person say, men are not monogamous. And Apakaipa Jomas. But the question is, are we ready to have that conversation as a society? Madzimaya, are they ready to take it?
Mm,
I think in 2022, the Marriage Act, when they were changing it in Zimbabwe, I think it was raising so many questions. Dzinobata ukoko,
mhm,
whether small house ine marights rakafanana mai guru, because
mhm,
mukadziwo, she's got children of this man, and children are the same
mhm,
because kunano yakanzi ane a half mass uh, surname.
mhm.
They carry a full surname. Hence we say Selma Mtukudzi, Sandra Mtukudzi, Samantha Mtukudzi.
Samantha Mtukudzi, yeah,
They're all Mtukudzis. There's no half Mtukudzi. So
yeah.
you bring a valid point, but are we ready as a society to have that conversation?
I think to a certain extent, because every time, the more we just say, I think we're not ready for this conversation, and then we try and move it to the next day, to the next week, to the next month. Ne? It presents a challenge because people we are living in today, we are living right now. Right now, people are there, they are existing. We're not frozen in time. Time is moving, and there is a father, there is a child, there's a wife, there's an ex-wife, there's a future wife that is listening to this and thinking, okay, yeah, maybe this conversation is ready. And if we sideline it, it just we are creating scenarios such as the same scenario that we had with Oliver Mtukudzi, where up to his death, he could not define and he could not arrange his family to a certain extent. Um, wakavanzwa Sandra na Selmo vachiti vachitaura kuti, and they use the Shona language, which is very emotional when people say stuff like that. Kuti ndozvatiri kungoda kuti kana pachiitwa zvinhu zvababa patingobatana
Hmm.
sevana. Do you understand? So I don't think they would have minded to be in a polygamous relation. I don't think so. Like if kids are just brought up and then they say, "Oh, okay, it's just Baba Edo and the three, and these are all my cousins, what you call it, all my sisters and my brothers," they will just grow up loving that situation and they'll be all right. But it presents a situation where and an awkward situation where we seem not to accept the fact that it is still possible right now and it is highly accepted. Let me give you an example. In South Africa, right, where I live, and I don't know about you, you're in the UK, but we are all Zimbabweans. You'd probably tell me a little bit better about the UK, and I will tell you a little bit better about South Africans. There is, yes, that notion and that religious notion that people should, one man, one woman, but it is highly acceptable in South African cultural values and norms for a man to take more than one woman. And the men that do that have a responsibility just to make sure first wife, second wife, third wife are well catered for and all the kids are well catered for. Yes, I'm not going to sit here and say there are no problems when, the father figure dies or is not there anymore. There might be quabbles here and there. But that acceptance makes it easier for kids, makes it easier for all the other women. And the women there, the wives, they know their hierarchy, they know where their place is within this family. And it is constantly reiterated almost on a day to day basis that this is the first wife, second wife, third wife, blah, 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 and so forth and so forth. So much so that it makes sense for those that are inside that polygamous relationship and those that are outside. Why do we feel like it's so hard to just accept that and to accept it?
I'm going to probably sound controversial here, but I think for me, that's my truth from my
Hmm.
standpoint. I think Vanorume, look at Zimbabwe, we are maybe ready for that. And in that respect, I would actually to give Tuku some credit. He
Hmm.
did not hide Sandra and Selma. He might have failed to put things in order, to sort his household, but he did not hide his kids. But Zimbabwean men sometimes they are forced to hide vana because the mukadzi achata, and per Facebook she want picture perfect family. So she wants to be iwewe iye nemrume nevana vanyowani ava varipo, and forgetting there's other kids. So it starts from there, from wanting that picture perfect. And the next thing, takufana kuvaviga background. The next thing, they cannot be in A when we're doing this, because in that interview, I think in your last podcast where you were saying Selma and Sandra vakataura zvinobata mwoyo, and for me chimwe chakandibata ndechekuti when Sandra was saying ndakasiyiwa kukwekwe mhuri ichienda kuNorton, and I was thinking it might be a case where Daisy just wanted to be nevana vake nemurume wake, which is something chinoitika kudzimba dzakawanda in a lot of people.
But
When
could
you
have been
meet a
avoided
woman,
if these two, it could have been avoided
exactly,
do you get what I'm saying?
yes,
inini uyu ndiye mukadzi wangu wekuchanga Daisy, like it or not, uri kupinda here kana kuti hausi kupinda. Daisy obva ati ndiri kupinda, anofanira kupinda pane zvinhu zvitongoripo ngoti
zviri pachena.
So when kana vanhu vakumuvha, there was no way then amai vaSandra was going to leave Sandra vachienda naOliver naDaisy wherever they were now going to stay.
You see, which is where I think you've raised a very good point, because I've listened, and this is on record, to Melody Murapa, who is Sandra and Selma's mom. Vachitaura kuti aiwa ini ndakazvisiya because ndaisada zvebarika, and this is on record in an interview. I think it was alongside the funeral. Saka ndosaka isu vanhurume, the man from Zim, I think we are ready to have that conversation, to open up. As I've matured, Joe, you know my story. There's nothing that you don't know about my life. We talk behind the camera, organic conversations. I want to be honest. When people would ask me how many kids I have, I used to lie, because maybe I'm being asked in front of my wife, and she'll give you that eye. To say, are you going to shoot? And
Nigga,
say,
don't you say that huge number.
Exactly. So that's already pressure. So it starts from there. So I think women, and like I said, as we've matured, we're on the 4th floor, bro. And almost reaching that 5th floor now. And you begin to want to live your truth. To say, this is my situation. I'm a father of so many, and I want to start doing it right. Hence, in my article, I said the lessons that we men should take from this. So I think Zimbabwean women, there is a lot of issues that need to be addressed along those lines. If you watch social media, Joe, there's always big house, small house, wars going on.
Yeah.
In the comments, even as this was going on, there were some people who were pro Melody, some who were pro Daisy. So I think because we are a Christian nation, and until now, where even the law is beginning to focus on customary marriage, wekukoto antu wangu akakosha, white wedding nyaya yaJozi yaitambwa masteps, ana mukadzi akanaka anobva kuna Mwari, ishiridzwa namukoma yamukoma same yeah. That's what was regarded as the right thing. But yet, life is not black and white. Life does happen. And do you know, so many men are in this situation. Even pastors. Some people, vakaita mhuri dzavo, achiri mukomana, ozogamuchira Jesu, and they receive Christ, and they then go to Bible school. Then ane pressure manje yekunzi mfundisi, a man of one wife. But is he really a man of one wife? Yet kune vana vari kuchema background. This issue, we've not even started, we've not even touched the surface of it. Pane nyaya dzimba hobho dziri kunoita kugadziriswa.
Yeah. I bro, and when you say that, right? Um, I actually am in the same shoes as you. Like you said, hapana chakavanzika between the two of us. I know we've done
Absolutely.
some shit in our lives, and even when I addressed the issue of saying, you know what, I wouldn't want to see girls being hurt in the manner in which the Mtukudzi girls were done, and I mentioned my three girls. These are three girls, and collectively, and you know what everybody knows what we like collect. They're not from one family, but
Mm.
vana vasikana vangu, you know. uh and to a certain extent, that's what made me feel like, you know what, I needed to apologize, because uh, uh, after I spoke about professionalism and stuff like that, it went just out the window, because nobody was going to listen to that professional bullshit, because there are
Mm.
girls that are hurting. And then later on, when I listened to them hurting, I watched those girls, those women cry, bro. And it was just like, I need to just retract whatever it is. And it also just made me feel, um, some kind of way, and to be like, to put myself in the same shoes as all of them, Mtukudzi. But going forward, and I know we've spoken about all this whole cultural thing, societal things that people will be looking towards for a man and a woman, and etc etc. What do you think? Do you think you are studying law, right, in the UK? Do you think there's need to be a change within, with in your understanding of law generally? Do you think there's need to have a change in the way in which wills are handled, kids from the first marriage are handled, when it comes to anybody's estate, um, so much so that they're not sidelined and forgotten, because you are Farai Cheuka, vana vaonawo zvinezvi, vese vaonawo, or Joseph Maramba, vana vese vatinawo. If I am to drop dead tomorrow, obviously the whole lot will go to the current wife, and and the kids, and then current wife ndianozoti, oh, okay, there are those, if she's kind enough. But do you think there should be a general change within the law, just to say, kana watongozvara mwana akatongopuwa zita rako ari wako biologically, then but automatically estate, they must partake, they must be part and parcel of that estate, whether they haven't seen each other for years, whether mainina havasikuda or havanoda, it doesn't matter. Automatically it should just be like 1 2 3 4 5, shared accordingly.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel the law is given men a platform, equal rights. Like with Zimbabwe now, Marriage Act 2022, where any mukadzi waunenge une vana naye, or even wawagara naye, toti wafa, you've just died, and wanga uri pamainini muchato usati wakanzurwa, it's now giving mining a right. But I think not so much of the law. I want to bring a quotation from a great man. He's now gone to be with the Lord, Zimbabwe, Baba Guti, from Zayoja Ford and Faith Ministries. He always to say this, Joe, and it's now beginning to make sense to me. And he had a burden when you be saying it. He said,
Mhm.
men should lead. In your home, men should lead. Men should lead. I feel, and myself included, the
Mhm.
21st century man, what he's lacking is leadership.
when you
Where,
when you I want to cut you there. Sorry, man, to just
yeah,
like to
yeah,
hold
yeah, no, that's
your
fine.
train of thought. When you say men should lead, And the 21st century man is not really leading. Define this leadership, because some people might just think "Ah, kungotenga chingwa nengoningiri."
I think to be that leader that shows where you're going, to be the visionary of your family. Because
Okay.
I think earlier on we said, both you and I were questioning kuti, oh, Mdaratuku, zvataimba nzeve dzedu senyika, would listen to him. He was an
Mm-hmm.
authority. Kana
Mm-hmm.
akutaura Mdara. Handisi kuona. How did he not find his voice mumba? Nokuti uri kunzwa mwana achiudzwa kunzi makumbo akareba saababa. And you just quiet in a corner. That's the leadership that I'm talking about, Joe. I find because tiri kuda kunatsa kwese. And
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, you and I know it's not easy because
Mm-hmm.
uyu ndiye munhu ari kuenda naye kubedroom. Handiti?
Mm-hmm.
Ava ndo vana futi vaunoda. Your daughters, and
Yeah.
I love how you love your daughters, Joe. I've got no doubt unoda vana vako.
Mm-hmm.
And because you speak about your girls in that loving dad, zvekutodaro. But panozoti chaisa voice ndopakuda kuisa kabalance kasina nebasa. Leadership is strength.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership has to put you in some uncomfortable positions. You know what?
Yeah.
Panapa mai mwana ava vana vandevepano. Tiri kuenda neuku, we are going this way. That's the leadership that I'm talking about. Baba Guti, I remember I told out, akuna kubatwa ruoko nemukadzi, ramba. Chero iwe usiri kuziva kuma-directions, when you, the men, don't know where you're going, she knows the more better than you, but iwe mubate ruoko iko ndouri kuziva kwamuri kuenda. That's
Yeah.
the leadership that I'm talking about. I think because I'm going to touch on another issue. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent on this one.
Yeah.
21st century, yeah, create a platform where women can earn more than men. Women can go to school and have PhDs for our women.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, tineka inferiority kataita sevanhurume, where we need to wake up from our slumber and start leading.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not, I, I
I get you.
celebrate Tuku.
I get you.
Mdara wedu zvekudaro.
Mm. Mm.
There are songs that he wrote that when you are listening to them, inini, it's munondipudzirei nepanorwadza, that song in collaboration
Mm.
with Wayne.
Mm.
The depth of it. But kumdara's voice roro raizoenda pamute sei mumba.
Exactly.
That's
Do you
the
know, Fatso,
leadership. Mm.
when we grew up, ne, taivaona madhara aigara community medu, ghetto, wherever we grew up, vaiti kana vaitozivikanwa kunzi mudhara wema no nonsense, like vanga vasiri. I know, I knew your dad. I met him briefly. I knew your mom.
Yes. Mm.
He was a religious guy, and I don't think he was an autocratic leader in the house, right?
Mm.
Neither is my dad, right?
Absolutely.
He's not an autocratic leader. Like I can rightfully say it. Like my Darang anoto mirirawo at times kutonzwa kuti amai vepamba vari kuita sei, vari kuti
Rakuti.
chii, you understand?
Mm.
And I have somewhat adopted that very same thing in my family, to say ndotombomirirawo kuti mudzimai wangu ari kuti chii. You know, there are issues that I stand firm, right? But when we grew up, there were fathers that we saw in society who gave no hoot whatsoever what the woman is saying. You know,
Mm.
varume vaive kuti kana vaifamba mustreet, mukadzi aifamba like a meter away from him, kumashure, like vachitoziva kuti
Mm.
uchitovaona ikapo, but mona pane mukadzi, you know, there was some certain level of dictatorship kanga ripo. So is that the leadership also that you're talking about, where I don't have to really listen, I just direct and direct and direct? Because we've seen how sometimes dictatorship and leadership yakadaroka can lead to greatness, but it can also lead to failure. And hence maybe that's why people have been somewhat walking along the line kuti nomboruma ndichifuridza nomboruma ndichifuridza, you know. Is that the one that you want? Yekuti mukadzi anofanira kutozoti kana patosvikwa panapa vanenge vanobva vaita scurry off into the bedrooms, mukadzi obva atoziva kuti shewe vauya, mvura iri kutodziya, sadza riri kudziya, and all of that stuff.
Not at all. Thank God you brought Madara Edu. Both great leaders in their own right. But like you said, vanhu vaitoteerera, we're not autocratic. So here, when I'm saying leadership, a leader, a great leader actually listens.
Yeah.
So hakusi kuti mukadzi ngaatopiwa ningi, ngaapiwe time yake yekutaura. But lead, now kana taakutaura drawing lessons from Tuki's issue, lead with fairness, lead with empathy, lead with kindness, lead with education, lead with examples, lead with love, lead with sincerity, an all-rounded leader, because akateerera vana like inini pakandirwadza, that's lack of leadership, Jose. Saka vana imi mukazouya itange tisina kumbotaura kana kuti munozouya muchihwanda and opinzwa mubedroom vana otodzokera nyaya isina kutaurwa. That's lack of leadership. That's now fear.
Ipapo I agree with you. That was some fucked up shit.
Proper, bro. Saka anditombotaura leadership yekuti ngativadzvanyirire vanhu, because atiri kutaura chokwadi. Like I said, they are now bringing something on the table. Saka ungati mukadzi ari kutounza something on the table kuti handichakuteereri, hazviite. No, let's give them their due respect. But in that leadership, you can lead in love. Jose, ndakupa example yababa Guti yekuti hanzi mukadzi chero ari matoenda kumo kwaanoziya, iwo mubate ruoko itange iwo ndori kuziya. Why? Because chivanhu chedu chaicho, a man is the head of the home. No matter mukadzi wako aita successful sei, panenge muka leadership. So kana tongooneka kunoku in the UK where I'm based, the social services can identify my challenges anobuda in single homes, single parent homes. Hanzi zvinotooneka, so hanzi zvine psychologically zvazvinoita mune mwana, that you can identify such a child. Why? A leadership kaya yakasipa yekuti mai maprovider zvese, mwana is going to private school, then fridge yakati ta, pane kamwe kavoice kanongodiwa namudhara. So kekunzi inini kudheni kwangu, when I grew up, Jose, my mom used to say baba vako vaakudzoka, and you'd behave. You'd normally baba vangu vaakudzoka zviso. That's the leadership that I'm talking about. Kuti, so for me, I don't want to so much look like we're not attacking the late national hero and music icon Oliver Mtukudzi, but we are trying to draw lessons that we can take and probably make our society better, our homes better, because to have a better community, to have a better society, to have a better nation, to have a better people, it starts from that nuclear point, our homes. Saka, zvidzidzo zvirimo. So leadership that I'm talking about, Jomas, haitse kuti padheni yokuti haitse kubonga. But to just lead. So that's where we are questioning. Inini pakataura kuti taitukwa mudhara varipo, handi angovanzi vakahwanda pavaita kunge vari, and you know, I'm imaginative.
When she had them, what in bedroom in some way?
Vari mubedroom. Kana pakasiwa mwana Joe, pakasiwa mwana kukwekwe, and now going to Norton.
No, that one, you know, that one, I thought about it and I was like, maybe because if Daisy and everything that the girls have said about Daisy is true, right? Or something like that, you know, and then, or maybe, you know, movement by chitika uyo mdara pamwe ari peace adoto manyira uenda ku gig rada sese pamwe panongo move over ngonza ano mwana ndamuti ari or something like that. Maybe anongononga ngasingasi ndakatongompa benefit of the doubt.
Thank you. Hence pane imwe andofunga kuti from all this, maybe men because panapa handisi kubata zvidzidzo, we are focusing isusu, me and my brother Jomas were trying to guide each other tichibatsirana.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that what I'm about to quote was wrote by a woman. I've got a columnist, she's a lawyer, Anonyora on Zimbabwe media, and I quote her. She said, women are vindictive by nature. Ininda kuwedzera kangu kandadzidza mukurarama. Women are also manipulative by nature, and it can be very, it can be positive. Saka ipapo ndopada kudzidziswa munhurume to know and understand kuti kana watopinda musituation yekuti une vana from a previous marriage or you've been married a couple of times, mune maissues ekuti munhu atova vindictive. There's going to be some manipulation ichiitika mumba momo. That is the leadership manje that we are calling for, to identify such, to know how to circumvent my issues akadaro. Ndopati kuti men should lead, men should find a voice, men should put their house in order, men should learn from other men, and men should begin to have conversations that build other men. For me, those were my 5 big lessons. Those were my takeaways from Nyayai. Kuti asevanhurume, thank you for inviting me once again. These conversations need to be had. Ngasangotaura zvebhora, Jose. Let's just not talk about you know zvese zviri kuitika kuMan U, unoziva zvese zviri kuitika kuChelsea. Seni manje indoda, you know, I'm a bit awkward. I love both rugby and football, and kurugby ndiri kuziva zvese zviri kuitika kubhora ndiri kuziva, but we're not touching about these solid issues that make men. Vakadzi, Jose, kuchurch, both you and I came from Christian homes. And I remember Chinchiona, Mchimba Semuri. You come from a family blessed with voices.
True.
I come from a family of preachers. You know. So I think kuti zvakadaro you find kuti vakadzi vaenda kumunamato wemande, voenda kuchipiri, they go kuchina chemadzimai chaicho, the famous china chemadzimai kuZimbabwe. Mazuva ano kwane china chemadzimai chekumashwede.
Chekubawa.
Then they go to Sunday service. But varume vanenge vasina anything muwiki rese, ozongoendawo Sunday. So men, we don't have platforms, which is chimwe chandofunga kuti maybe tuku, you know, they say it's lonely up there. Maybe, let me be the devil's advocate here. Pamwe akashaya kunyatsotaura naye, pamwe akashaya munhu akamupa nzeve kuti ndoitawo sei. Hence, you and I, and I want to say this publicly, tiri panapa, Jomas, kuti we might not speak daily kana kuti chii, but pese patinotaura une line raunokanda rekuti it soothes the heart. And I would like to think that I equally do so kwamuri baba. But how many people have got friends like that? Or how many people have got platforms like that? Thank God, Baba, there are people like you with such platforms. Ngatimboita kana mwedzi wacho wese iyo ichiitsvaika, varume wherever they are, in whatever corner of society, ngadziviwe idzi. If there's a man that's hurting and the situation yake wawana mukana, chitomuudza madhamu wotangira ipapo kuti ani muri kuona seyatukwi, ininiwo ndiri kutsva, because kutaura chokwadi varume hobho vari kutsva, havari kutsva.
And rightfully so. Kana patongone example which you can use to better your situation. But maybe later on we must flip it also to the women, you know, to say they must have learned something from this, because cruelty towards vana vemurume wako, like seriously, if you get to a point where your husband has to hide. And I believe Oliver did not just decide on himself to say, I want to hide what I do to the girls. I want to give them money in the patch side. I want to talk to
Hey.
them. I don't think he just decided to do that on his own. There was something that pushed him to start doing that. To say, I don't think amai vanozvifarira vakaziva kuti ndikupa vana mari or ndikuvaitira so or ndikuvaitira so. Saka inini ndikaite sei ndingogara ndichingoita sei ndichingozviga. Up to and the part that also worried me was the fact that vasikana vaitoti Sam aitozvizivawo. God rest his soul. My daughter's in here. She's making awkward noises now. But Sam hanzi aitozvizivawo aitoti kana vana mudhara aizofona. Taurai namudhara. Taurai namudhara.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Mm.
Saka Oliver was now raising a son who was literally going to do the same probably as what he's doing. Just hold on, Fazo. Auntie, please take a go with auntie. Yeah. Bye. I'll see you later, ne? It's fine. I'll cut this out, don't worry.
No worries.
Yeah. And so at that small point as well, just that small thing to say, okay, sema na iye angatopindawo mustyle angakutozoti okay mama wangu avanyatsowirirana nemagirls and stuff like that. He was raising another champion that was probably going to do the same thing if he had been given the life and he had been given the opportunity, maybe aizoitawo mukadzi or vakadzi, whatever it is, and he would have literally just seen kuti okay ndozvinoitwa muntaraunda ingozviita saka ndingoita sei ndingozviitawo neni. You understand?
Mm.
But it's to a certain extent we must also come to the women and say there are lessons for everybody here. And I know you wrote about men because you're a man, and we are invested in it because tinogona situations that are almost similar to what Oliver Mtukudzi was going through. But now to a certain extent, and I don't think it should be our platform. We should talk about, unless we have a woman in this fora to say, but chimbotauro your own side. But maybe we should another day to just come back and say,
I think so. I think so.
how do you feel kana uchinzwa kuti mumwe wenyu aita so vamwe vana veumwe munhu? Doesn't that hurt? And it doesn't that hurt you, and doesn't that make you feel like it's wrong, and how can we address this? Yeah.
But already I think we can elaborate it and tine munhukadzi in all fairness. But we can also, we've got the legitimate right to raise questions from a man's point of view. Because vadautaridza hobo chimwe chinondirwadza, hence ndakota kuti in article the columnist was a woman who wrote, women are vindictive by nature. Joe kune varume vasiri kuona vana because vakadzi they believe to fix you achishandisa vana. So inini, my biggest takeaway or the question or a statement is vanhukadzi, they need to stop using vana as pawns, using vana setsoro dzacho dzekurwadzisana. Here I see a woman akaita daka na Melody kwabva Tuku, and because akatarisa Sandra na Selma, they're a representation of mukadzi uyu. So by nature yekuva vindictive yataurwa yaya ari kubva arwadzisa vana, not forgetting kuti no, vana iropa remurume. So I think that's where women need to understand it. Kana uchiitira vana vangu utsinye hausi kurwadzisa mukadzi wandikasana naye because ndi-ex for a reason. Angasiri ex for a reason, ndine kuriko kwandiri.
Exactly.
I don't know if you get me, bro.
Yeah, I do.
I know a lot of men, and I say this on record, vasingaone vana nokuda kwekuti there's issues and ada kurwadziswa. I've been in those situations. I'm going to be honest. Vakadzi havatozivi kuti semunhurume hausi kuitira inini utsinye, especially when I've got other kids, because ndotone life iri busy, I'm attending to vana nditori now, but vauri
Yes.
kurwadzisa vana vako.
Vana
And
vako,
most of
yes.
the time, when these kids grow up, they'll turn around and tell you to moms, what the on earth were you doing?
Exactly.
Maite. Because they
But
think they are winning it. Nekuisa vana
exactly.
mukona. They are not.
They're
So
not. They're
daisy maybe aitofunga kuti ari kurwadza uyu because vakadzi they are also jealousy. Anenge achitozvikombea kuti wakachatira murufaro kaiwo. Utoti ndione yese kaiweyo. Andiri kuona.
yeah,
And they
exactly.
carry
Exactly.
magrudge zvakadaro for a long time.
Time.
Andiri
Yeah.
kuona. So
Mm.
I think tinokumbirawo chichemo request yatiri kuisa kuna chaplain piri etc vanhu
Yeah.
vanotaura voices dzinoteererwa nevanhukadzi. Handiti kuti
Exactly.
they need to be taught, Joe, kuti kana uchiti uri kuitira vana utsinyi hausi kurwadzisa mukadzi yako andikabva.
The Mtukudzi debacle doesn't leave anybody. It talks about the kids. It talks about the women. Before we go to the kids, rather, um, briefly, let's just summarize what you think. You mentioned one or two people that were cards vanita my live by Facebook and stuff like that, and how they must also teach other women just to be to love the kids that are not even theirs biologically, but they are theirs by responsibility, by marriage and stuff like that. In the case of kids, what do you think? What role do they really play?
I think these are innocent beings just caught up
Hmm.
in a mix of everything that's gone wrong. First from parent yao akasiyana mai kana akasiyana baba. They didn't choose that. It was circumstances beyond their control. So if the adults, in the case of Mtukudzi, the kids are even adults, we are around the same age with Selma and Sandra, but it's about parents owning up, knowing they are the ones that caused all this, and they need to go an extra mile. Kunatsurudza zvinenge zvakanganisika. Kids don't know anything. Obviously, kids should respect whoever is my mukadzi wangu wandanaye ndinovadzidzisa kuti ayo vana uyu ndimai venyu, but it's for the parents and zvakachibata kuvakadzi kuti women should just, I think, stop being vindictive, stop taking it on vana kuti ende zvinova zvaita kutika mwana anobva afanewo isingaite kana kuti kufanana mai acho zvoti akamutarisa there's those raw emotions. I think that's what we need to
Yeah.
keep in check. Kubva kuvakadzi. I think that's what we're asking for. Kuti chan kukuda ndikutokuda. And
Yeah.
kazhinji men we mean it, but we also want to love our kids. Don't like we said, there's a whole lot of men vanochimiswa kuona vana, or on a day that she knows udamutora vana nogona ngomuka ita no baby that's not what kind of shopping. Let's encompass the family, let's embrace kuikuwa nemasanzo ayo. That's what I think, Jomas. I don't know what's your take,
Yeah.
bro, now.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, man. It's like the damage you give to other kids, right? Even if they're not yours biologically, you are also damaging in part your own kids. Like you said, one of Vafana and Anewe. You see, that damage yo inongozo prevail up and bear up. It might not be the same thing, but it comes out as something else, and then also ngona aije. Wakura wachembera manje wakuti bothered nema issues emwana wako amandara or amkadzi in another family and stuff like that. And then, if you don't think about it clearly, you'd be like just it will be a split image, a mirror of yourself, which you want to like. So it's best just you deal with the issues zorungoona within whatever setting you find yourself in, wongodila nazo zvakanaka. Because tomorrow they say karma is a bitch, right? I don't know
Absolutely.
whoever
And
was
the
doing that.
problem,
Yeah. I
Well,
don't
I
know
was going to
whoever
say,
was
and the
saying
problem
that.
is it becomes a ripple effect. It
Yeah,
messes society
exactly.
because it will repeat itself. I
Mhm,
think you're mentioning a point that had Sam been alive, achona mudhara wake
mhm,
achinowanda kuti aite phone call kana kuti atumire
mhm.
mari, he would have taken that as the norm. Kuti, okay,
Yeah.
saka ukaita side ndozvinofanira kuitwa. Yet that
Mm.
was not the probably perfect way. And like we said earlier on, we're not here to pick faults
Yeah.
on the legend and the icon. Much
Mhm,
respect and may his soul rest in peace.
mhm.
Asi tine zvidzidzo zvekubuda nazvo.
Exactly. But how have you been doing it? I know me and you are in the same boat, bro. Like literally, and life throws us a curveball. They say in America, life gives you lemons. I don't know where that saying comes from, and you make lemonade with it. Um, it's not by choice that you. I know when we were growing up, we never in our wildest dreams thought that
Not at all.
we're gonna be in one, two, different marriages, but it happened, and it's weird that we're sitting here across each other and talking about it, and we've all so somewhat experienced the same shit.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we were, uh, uh, you know, uh, God saw that these two brats, back then we were brats, they have to be they have to be friends to a certain extent, because they will be experiencing almost the same thing for in their lives. But I wanna before I say how I've been coping with that mechanism of having kids from a separate entity within, like as in your separate marriage. I want to hear from you first. How have you been coping? I know you wrote about it in your article. uh would you care to expagorate further?
Yes, for me, it
Mhm.
was a wake up call um,
Okay.
to know that we are human beings, we are mortal beings. We are finity. It's not like I'm here forever. And
Mhm.
I do not have time as much as I think to put things right. So it was
Mhm.
that wake up call to say, um, if kana kuna mai vandinokweshana navo nenyaya yevana, let me iron my issues. Let me take charge, leadership, and and I was speaking to myself as well to say,
Mhm.
probably feelings aside, just to go in there as a leader, as a man, as the head of the home and say, "Andoda kugadziris." And above
Mhm.
all, to bring my children together. Ndochitsvambe chandanacho inini kuti, yavhirwa kwaMtukudzi, rega nditoro zvidzidzo. Let me learn and
Yeah.
um, do things differently. It's never a smooth ride when you're in that situation, and sometimes zviri kufaya kumba, you're doing so much good at home, but uri kupiswa uko kune vana, kana kuti uri kunatsa mazuva ano zviri kufamba kune vana, kumba kuri kubvira. It's so it's to strike that balance, to learn how to circumvent the issues that come with such a situation. It takes a lot of growth. It needs patience. It needs self-healing as well, because unozvibvunza like you're asking, we're free birds just so many years back, Jomas. Tinopana vaya vachitomora hasha ndoda basement pamuchato wako ini ndoda basement and you think it's just going to flow, but as you've rightfully put it, life can throw a
Yeah.
curveball, but now it's about still going to score a try with that curveball.
Yeah. Yeah. True, man. And I agree with you. Like the part that you said, bringing my kids together, it's not easy, but it's like if I can achieve that, um then that would be the best thing ever to do in my entire life, um but for me, here's the thing. At first, right, it was, yeah, my son was in the room. That's why you could hear, you could see my, yeah. But for me, at first, it was an issue of um, getting along with the first wife. Okay, just on the basis of the kids, that was more important. Like there was just so much friction, you know.
The animosity is next.
Yeah,
It's on a
it's like it's
level.
on another level. Like you
Mm.
can't stop it. Like the first and foremost thing that I wanted to 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 get like some grip onto was how do I just not have the animosity, right? The drama between, oh, you didn't send money, oh, you didn't do this, oh, you didn't that. And then I realized that, a part of it was me, you know. Let's call a spade a spade. Sometimes we
Oh,
are the ones that
100%.
that are the problem. I realized that it was me. It was me not being able just to talk nicely or communicate, because here's somebody who's bringing up your girls or your kids, whichever way, and they depend on you to communicate on whether you're going to do A, B, C, D, or E, right? And if you don't, somebody is stuck on thinking, "Am I go? Is it ever going to happen? Is it ever going to come through?" And then I realized that my going silent sometimes was the problem, right? So I then started just to say, okay, here's what I'm doing, A, B, C. And I think that's the part where the leadership part where you're talking about comes through. A leader communicates. If a leader is just silent, if you're leading a country and then things are happening and you don't even have a State of the Nation address, or
Address.
you don't write a tweet like in these days, you don't come out on an interview or whatever it is, people won't even know what to do. They won't know how to react or act. Okay, so I just say to myself, you know what, I need to just, even if it means I'm going to hurt somebody's feeling on the other side, I just needed to communicate, and which is just say what you're supposed to say and do what you're supposed to do, but before you do it, say it first, right? And then that started helping. I could feel that the tension was going down a lot. Like now it was proper conversations. Hey, how are the girls doing? The girls are doing fine. This and that. What do they need? They need this. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this so that you do that and that and that. And then okay. Proper stuff that I could never really experience in the initial stages of me venturing into my second marriage. So I think for a lot of men, we are the faults, and sometimes when we address our faults, initially when we just start addressing our faults, look at yourself in the mirror and you say, oh, okay, I think I'm the one who's a problem here, right? And then you address that problem. The other aspect, or the other what you call it, the other side of that relationship will also adjust, because they can see your adjustments, and then they'll be like, okay, let me adjust, because now I think I see that there's a clear adjustment on the other side. So this also is a wake up call, like you said, and I feel like if ever we are to miss this education, we are to doom ourselves. We have to just learn from this and pick it up.
100% agreement. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Big lessons, and the conversations should not stop here.
Mhm.
It's the platform has been opened. Like we said earlier on, Chinda who couldn't address the issue,
Mhm.
but not only
Yeah.
that, as friends, as churches, as all walks of life, uh, we have to carry on with this conversation. And
Mm.
I look forward to be invited again on this platform. Pinum cards.
Tiyasonzwa nyaya dzedu asi simutshele
Yes,
indaba zenyu. Oh my man, it's been lovely hanging out with you, man. But how's
honestly,
Zimba Wave Media doing? Quickly before we round this up, tell us about it, and what are you expecting Zimbas to do wherever they are in support of your initiative?
we're just asking them to subscribe, man, on our website. our YouTube. There's things to come. We are actually, I can break it exclusively on Jelma's podcast that we're working
Mhm.
on series that will be coming soon. So we're in the background working on it.
Yeah.
Like zvaiitwa nawadiwe pamoyo papa series
Mhm.
towardaro that will be exclusive to Zimbabwe's TV. And
Yeah.
the news storytelling is what we believe in. So anenge anzwa nyaya ngaatibate
Yeah.
timhanye
Yeah.
nadzo.
Yeah.
And above
Yeah.
all, we want to become an educative platform where we have columnists from all walks of life, tichibatsirana, because it's talking about things that can only make us a better people, and
Mhm.
we can be best for each other if we're equipped with knowledge and information.
Wow. I wish you all the best, my man. I wish you all the best. Certainly, this is not the last time we're gonna have this conversations. Indo fara kuva nema conversations with the people. So sometimes, if whichever breaks next from our homeland, Zimbabwe, we're gonna be right here and we're gonna be talking about it. No worries about it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Fatso.
It's been an honor. Thank you, brother.
All right. Guys, there you have it. Today we had a chance to address, well, I think in part, a small part. This is a drop in the ocean of the so many things that we as men have to do. We have to talk about it. We have to be outspoken. We have to be strong. We have to be leaders. That's what Farai Cheuka said. We have to learn, and I mean, before anybody else does something or learns something, we have to be the ones that are teaching and leading and making sure that our society is shaped within a certain way. Zvese zvakaitika kunana Mtukudzi, it's not exclusive to the Mtukudzi family. It is stuff that is happening within our borders. It's stuff that's happening within our world, stuff that we can address and stuff that we can make sure tomorrow it changes for the better. So between you and me, I think there's a time now, there's a chance yekuti togona kushanda pakatobuda something. Varume, varume, varume. Ndakudeedza yakangani katatu. We need to come out in the open, or and lead our families the way we would really love them to be moving forward, right? Not going side, not going backwards. Obviously, you find resistance, but if you press your foot on the right things and on the right and the good deeds, everything else, all the good things will follow. And that's what we should learn from the Mtukudzi debacle. But we'll be back again with some more conversations. I'm sure Fato will be here. Farai Cheuka will be here over and over again. He's a family, he's a friend, he's a brother of the show. So we will be unpacking more and more of anything that comes out from our homeland, which is Africa, which is Zimbabwe. Until we meet again, be kind. Bye bye.